The art of warfare.
Member uniform 673-12-09-571, over.
Hello and welcome. My name is Streamcap, and this is the first video in a series on the very basics of mission making in DCS World. For this series, I will be going over the very basic bare bones that you need in order to set up a multiplayer mission. In terms of limitations, I will not be going through scripting. I will not be going through the use of triggers. I will even not be going through how to move around the AI. It will just be setting up some static AI units and then creating the flight airframes for the clients. So in the beginning, the first thing we need to do once we get into DCS naturally is to get into the mission editor, which we can find in the menu on the right hand side. Once we get in here, we get to the theater in question. I'm currently using DCS 1.5.7, so I get into the Caucasus theater and the Caucasus map. So the scenario is we're going to have two sides. There are always two sides to every game. It takes two to tango and all that jazz. In order to decide where to go, we have two different coalitions. We have the Red Coalition and we have a Blue Coalition. We also have the sort of neutral coalition here. This neutral coalition basically means that these countries are not part of the scenario. And this is important because each of these countries, be it blue or red or neutral, all the countries have a specific subset of the available units. So, for instance, Russia has the Russian units, and USA has the American units. Sweden has a subset, Abkhazia has a subset, and so on. One country, well, quasi-country really, that is very specific is this one, the USAF aggressors. What this means basically is that you can have American units like the F-15 and F-18 and F-14 when they come out. You can have those on both sides. You just have a different coatings and different skins really. But we're gonna go with the one that's set up here. And the scenario we're going to build is going to be a very small one. So basically, we're going to move around the Gudata and Sochi Adler air bases. I'm going to start off with just setting up a few ground units, and I will put them over here. So they will be here on the road. Exactly how to position units on the road or off the road and how to move them in formation and stuff is beyond the scope of this video. So for now I'm just gonna select ground unit. I'm gonna make sure the country is USA, the category is armor, and I'm gonna select the MBT M182 Abrams. I'm going to leave the name as new vehicle group for now. And then I'm going to place the first unit on the map just by clicking, like so. And I'm going to make it appear on road by just setting the initial waypoint to on road. Also, I want to have several more of them. I want to have 4. So I'm gonna increase the unit count from 1 of 1 to 1 of 2, 3, 4. And now we have 4 units lined up on the roadside. And that's good enough for me. And actually, now if we save this mission, we go up to the, there we go, and I'm gonna call it, say, demo MP mission, and press OK. Now I can actually go in and have a look at these just by pressing the fly mission. Even though there are no aircraft placed out, there are no slots for the clients, I can still go in and have a look at the actual scenario that I have created. And right now, not much is going to happen because we're just going to have a look at some tanks standing idly out in the terrain or on the road. But if you have other stuff happening, like for instance AI flights taking off or landing, you can use this system to actually make sure that they go where they're supposed to and do what they're supposed to do. So here we are, the road, and 4 armored targets. That looked good, so escape and quit and back, and we're gonna add the next step. So back to the mission editor. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to add 2 Su-25Ts taking off from Sochi Adler. So I go to add or modify airplane, click on Sochi Adler to place the first unit. Even though I have placed it now, I still can change around these various values. So I can change it from USA to Russia, and I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds while the system loads the Russian units. So I'm gonna go, instead of A10C, I'm gonna go down and select the Su-25T, like so. Here also I want to select, in this area I can select the skill level of the AI pilot, or I can select client or player. For multiplayer missions, you select client. That means it's a slot that a person can actually spawn into. One more thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this aircraft doesn't start like it does now, 2,000 meters above sea level. I want it to start on the ground. In fact, I want it to start cold and dark. What I do then is that I select the initial waypoint down here in the waypoint section. I select the initial waypoint not to be a turning point, but take off from ramp. In the event that I want to use, I want these aircraft to start up and be fully started, all systems go, I can go with takeoff from parking hot. But normally when you create a multiplayer mission, use takeoff from ramp, because several of the airframes do not allow you to rearm, for instance, if you have the engines running. You need then to shut down the entire aircraft before you can rearm them. And we actually want this this aircraft to be able to rearm, so we're just going to go take off from ramp, and then when you spawn in, you're going to spawn into a cold and dark aircraft, no engines running, no electricity, and you can order your ground crew to set up whatever armament you want. I'm also going to place, instead of that particular site, I'm going to move the airframe over to here, just by changing the parking space. as I said, we want not one aircraft but two, so we're gonna tick this one up as well. There we go. And now we have two SU-25Ts with client slots, and they are gonna take off from ramp. Now, in order to assist the pilots jumping into these slots and having them actually reach the target, it's always a nice thing to set up some waypoints. That's very, very easy. We are already in, as I said, the waypoint part of configuration here. Just make sure that add is activated, and then I can click on the map and set the waypoints the way I want to. So for this instance, they're going to go to 1, to 2, 3, and then back to Sochi. In order to make the last waypoint actually a landing waypoint, which will, for instance, set up the autopilot in the aircraft to actually land, I go to the type of waypoint for the last point, DP, and I select landing. And that is pretty much it for setting up a simple and very bare bones mission where you spawn into a Striker aircraft and you have some targets that you can go into and engage. So that's the first mission. I'm going to save it and I'm going to step out, and we'll see each other again in the next video. Until then, have a good night, good day, well, whatever.